Good morning. Welcome to Second Saturday Satsang. And today we are going to continue to talk about what we started to talk about in the meditation this month, which is "This too shall pass." And it's a discussion of the vicissitudes of life and how natural they are, and how we can learn to surf those rather than holding on to what we want and avoiding what we don't, because the energy of that is different than the energy of surfing what we're surfing the vicissitudes of life, if you will. So this too shall pass. I want to start, as I usually do, by worshiping the divine within you, and to connect my heart at the heart at spirit level. Connect my heart with yours. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva. 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 We acknowledge the presence of the masters, and the grace of the Guru, and the blessings and guidance of Mahavatar Babaji, Satguru Maharaj Ki Jaya. So thank you. Thank you for being here this morning. I want to read a story, and I'll just bet you've heard this story before, but even if you have, I would like to ask you to get a beginner's mind and act like you've never heard it before and really take this in. There's a version of the story in various places, and you may have heard a different version. One day in late summer, an old farmer was working in his field with his old sick horse. The farmer felt compassion for that horse, and he wanted to lift its burden. So he left his horse to go loose and to go to the mountains and to live out the rest of his life there in the pasture. Soon after, his neighbors from the nearby village visited and said, "What a shame." They offered their condolences. "Now your horse is gone. How unfortunate are you? And you must be very sad. How will you live?" The farmer replied, "We'll see. We'll see." 2 days later, the old horse came back, now rejuvenated after meandering the mountainsides while eating wild grasses. He came back with 12 new, younger, and healthier horses, which followed the old horse right into the corral. Wow, word got out in the village of the old farmer's good fortune, and it wasn't long before people stopped by to congratulate him. "How fortunate you are," they exclaimed. "You must be very happy." Again, the farmer said softly, "We'll see." At daybreak the next morning, the farmer's only son set out to attempt to train the new wild horses, but the farmer's son was thrown to the ground and he broke his leg. Oh, one by one, here come the villagers to bemoan the farmer's latest misfortune. What a tragedy. Your son won't be able to help you farm with a broken leg. You'll have to do all the work yourself. How will you survive? You must be sad. Calmly going about his usual business, the farmer replied, "We'll see." Several days later, a war broke out in the country, and the emperor's men arrived in the village demanding that young men come with them to be conscripted into the emperor's army. As it happened, the farmer's son was deemed unfit because of his broken leg. In the tea house of the villagers again commented, "Wow, you're lucky. That what good fortune," as their own young sons were being marched away. "You must be very happy about this," they said. "We'll see," replied the farmer as he headed off to work his field alone. As time went on, the broken leg healed, but the son was left with a slight limp. Again, the neighbors came to pay condolences. Oh, what bad luck. Too bad for you. But the old farmer replied, we shall see. As it turned out, the other young village boys had died in the war, and the old farmer and his son were the only able bodied men capable of working the village lands. So the old farmer became very wealthy and was very generous to the villagers. They said, oh, how fortunate we are. You must be very happy. To which the farmer replied, of course, maybe. Who knows? We'll see. So the lessons in this story focus on the Taoist principle that in life, everything changes. Everything changes. Like in the symbol of the yin and yang, which if you remember, there's a black and a white, and inside the black, there's a dot of white, and inside the black, there's a dot of white. It represents the concept of duality, good, bad, positive, negative, cold, hot, dark, light, whatever, lucky, unlucky, sorrow, and happiness. Yet, in each aspect of the duality, there's a dot of its counterpart, demonstrating that opposite forces are bringing on the next phase, right? They're complementary and they're interconnected and they're interdependent. So each gives rise to the other, I think, and both are represented in the circle, which is representing oneness. And it's called the Tao. The Tao is about movement. It's about what is. It's about accepting the movement of life as it is. And everything has two aspects to it. We cannot, of course, appreciate light without shadow. How would we know there was light if we didn't see shadow? How would we breathe out that beautiful if we had never breathed in? How would the waves crash in if they had never gone out? So our challenge, our lesson is to understand and not judge each movement that comes along. Our egos have a very particular and personal perspective, don't they? They always filter everything through what's good for me right now. And we get impatient, we get all of these things. But if we learn to be in the Tao, we learn to surf and say, I'm going to let go of attachment to what I want. I'm going to enjoy whatever comes. And I'm not going to judge any event as an end to itself, right? Nothing is totally black and white. Nothing, only time will tell the whole story. And in our own lives, we often see the meaning of something later on, right? We see, oh man, that was so bad when it happened, but now thank God because ABC, right? Nobody has a life that they can't look back on and see just that. So it's the puzzle pieces fit together in your life, and that's the Tao. If you think about it, the energies of life are expressing through you as light expresses through a prism. Those energies are wanting to express, and they are being resisted. Those energies are being resisted by the physical body that we are, by the physical environment in which we live. Those energies are being resisted, and I think we are having the beautiful job, God's job for us. We are having the beautiful job of transmuting those resistances into love, right? So when something happens that we think is bad luck, we, of course, feel it. And there's nothing wrong with feeling it. But instead of resisting the feeling, why not go inside with the feeling and say, I see you, I feel you, I love you, and it's okay. What do you want? What can I want with you? So everything that comes up for us is in fact an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow, it's an opportunity to transform, it's an opportunity to transmute the physical environment into spiritual environment. Those of us who are living in this time, we are actively doing this job. We are actively transmuting the physical into another dimension. We are cleaning it up. If you think about the earth as a metaphor, the earth loves um, it loves debris. It loves, well, some debris. It loves, for instance, we use fertilizer. We fertilize with the very thing that we find noxious, right? But the earth breaks it down, makes it happen, and brings it together so that it can nurture what is growing in the air. So we, in this time in our lives, we're doing that energetically, what the earth is doing. We're taking in these energies and we are transmuting them in our bodies, and we are breathing them out as the fragrance of a flower into the air, into the world. We are raising the vibration of human consciousness as we do it. But we can't do it if we're holding on and going, oh, I don't want this to end, or pushing away, I don't want that to come. We have we have the ability and the right to make our lives as easeful and graceful as we can. But when something happens that's outside of our control, we can treat it differently than we've done before, right? Um, Non-attachment is something that the Buddhists teach. And the reason they teach non-attachment is not because they don't want you to care, is because they don't want you to grasp. Because think about, if something is trying to go through a filter and you keep wadding that filter up so that nothing can get through it, it will eventually seep through, right? But you are actively working against the Tao when you do that, right? So our egos want to do that. Our egos are only looking at it from our own perspectives in the now. But we can pull back. We can pull back and look at the bigger picture. I said in the meditation this month, if you had a chance to listen to it yet, that we have lived thousands of lifetimes. And the part of us that knows the truth is looking through our eyes and observing our lives with us. And probably if that part of us was a smart aleck, they would laugh at us because we think everything we have is so important. You have been everything that you don't like in the world. You have been that. And yourself, with a capital self, can look compassionately out on the world, even when you can't. And our job is to become more like the observer, watching and being part of the Tao rather than trying to make things fit the way we want them to fit or be the way we want them to fit. So we're going to do a meditation And I want to have you do something that we did in the meditation. If you listened, you are already familiar with this, and that is to take the years of your life. Let's say you're 50 years old, and divide it into quarters. So divide it in half twice. So if you divide it in half to 25 years, then divide it in half to 12 and a half years, and think of your life in quarters of chunks. And it doesn't have to be exact at all. Just generally speaking, what happened in the first quarter of your life? What were you developing? What happened in the second quarter going up to the first half? What happened in the third quarter? What's happening now in the fourth quarter? And look at those patterns, right? So we're going to meditate together, and this is going to be a more awake meditation. I want you to close your eyes and relax, but I also want you to work with me here because we're going to do some work here, right? We're going to surf. We're going to understand that this too shall pass. So close your eyes and notice how very easy it is then to just relax. We know that earthly life itself is merely a passing thing. So we connect now with what is eternal. And we experience life from the perspective of our souls for just this moment in time. What does my soul want? When we look at the trajectory of this lifetime, what is the lesson that I have been trying to learn? What seems to keep happening with me? There's a clue there. Let's look together. First, divide your life into half and then divide it again. And in the first quarter of your life, what kept happening? And through those events, what particular strength did you develop? What gift did you receive? Was it a particular wisdom, an insight? And what defenses did you develop during those times? What challenges kept recurring that made you, in your semi helpless state, create defenses? And now look at the second quarter of your life. In those years, how did your strengths continue to develop? How did your defenses begin to challenge you? The defenses that were so necessary when you're helpless. How did they start to challenge you? Now let's look at the third quarter of your life. And are you noticing that you have altered some of your habits? Your beliefs are beginning to evolve. Your approach to life, your attitudes are developing into something new. And are you beginning to see, as you look at your life so far, that you have come into this lifetime with a sort of curriculum? And are you growing more and more conscious about pursuing those life lessons? I think you are. Finally, let's look at the last quarter of your life so far. You've been following a spiritual path. You've been searching and growing. You've been learning and evolving. And yes, now it's time. It's time. It's time to be fully conscious. It's time to make a habit of pulling back often, even routinely, in order to understand that this too shall pass. Yes, this too shall pass. But right now, what is this moment offering to my soul? You may not fully know your soul's purpose, but if you learn to recognize the vibration of soul alignment, you can trust yourself to move in a direction that is new, a new thought about a type of thing that keeps happening to you, a new perspective on what life has to offer you, a new appreciation for the gifts it holds. This too shall pass. And yet, this lifetime is very important. It may be the most important life you've ever lived. At any rate, it is the one you're living. It's the one where your consciousness has focused. If you ask me, what is my soul's purpose? I would ask you, what options are being presented to you? The answer's there. What has your life? What has your life given you? And shown you? In every moment of the now, in every moment of the now, we can let go. We can let God. We can appreciate the gifts we have developed. We can appreciate how far we've come. We can look forward with delight and anticipation and curiosity. We can set our course, but also ride the waves that come unexpectedly. What does your soul want in this lifetime? You chose to be here in this lifetime for a purpose. What does your soul want? Your soul is you forever. This lifetime passes. What does your soul want for you? And so bring your attention back to your body, back to the room you're in, understanding that wherever you are emotionally, spiritually, physically is exactly right. You are surfing the Tao. You are surfing your soul's purpose as opportunities and options present themselves to you over and over and over. And so it is. So take a deep, cleansing breath. And open your eyes when you're ready. Mm-hmm. Wow. So I will ask us to take ourselves off mute and let's have time together now. I am excited that it is who it is here because it's all in divine order. I forgot to send out the email until this morning. And so that's on me. And I think it's in divine order. So what's supposed to happen here? Let's find out. So how was that meditation for you? Or what came up for you, I should say?
There's usually more people on, so I don't have to talk first.
All in divine order, my love.
I believe my brain is going through a speeding up as you were doing your meditation, which is interesting when that happens. Time is a molecule in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have gone in 41 years. I've gone through the entire life cycle, even of death, not literally or near death, but death of everything of the old. And a couple of times in hopes and dreams, and then rebirthed again. And that the entire cycle is becoming more like one of those infinite fractals,
Yeah.
Faster, faster, faster.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I noticed that in my life too, Kanika. I noticed the fractal nature of life, how you keep repeating the same things at a higher and higher spiral. Even though you may have mastered on one level, it comes back and you master it on another. And for me, I have noticed that there is kind of a curriculum in my life. I'm I'm majoring in certain areas in this lifetime. And those lessons continue to repeat themselves. And I believe that I was put in the right family for that to happen. And I was put in the right circumstances for that to happen. And I continue to hear the promptings of spirit to move and do again, to put myself in situations where, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that I'm going to learn something.
Mm.
One of the things that occurred to me is that the only thing that's constant in this world is change. And it occurred to me that it's significantly harder, requires a lot more energy, a lot more concentration, a lot more worry to try to hold on to the past or to hold on to the way things are instead of releasing and riding the waves of the change.
Yeah, I agree. You know, Jesus taught us to pray, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Think about that prayer. It is encapsulating the Tao.
Yeah.
Thy will be done. It's like your intention, God, your God's intention, may it express through my body, through the prism of my body, and may I be a willing participant. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Have it, you know, this is your intention. Allow me to be with it. You know, give us this day our daily bread. You know, it's like allow us to have the faith to move through each day one at a time. Yes, we can plan for our future. Yes, we can do all those things, but in every moment, it is God that is taking care of us. You look at what happened in Florida at Surfside last week or week before last. And, you know, these people were merely sleeping in their beds, and all of a sudden, a life changed for them. Even the ones who got out in the other side of the building, life completely changed for them. And those are things that we can surf. That doesn't mean we don't have feelings about it, right? We have a lot of feelings about it.
Yeah.
But we can get stuck in those feelings, or we can process those feelings. There's a difference. Yeah. Or we can project them onto somebody else. Say somebody's at fault. Somebody shouldn't have done this. Somebody shouldn't have done that. That's a way of getting stuck. Yeah. It's beautiful. Arunadev, thank you.
I have been really trying to soul search about my values and setting new goals and aims. And what I have been using as an excuse, it comes to me, is that I was the youngest of four. Everyone always got their things first. Like the eldest got to choose or whatever in my family. That's just how it occurred. But I was always taken care of as the baby, so there was like a role there. And I didn't realize how much that affected my life until this last week, where I couldn't make goals. I'm like, what do I want? I don't know who I am. What, I mean, right now, my main goal is to make Katie as happy as possible till she goes to college, and, just have that one-on-one time with her that I'm going to lose soon, and, what your meditation allowed me to do by breaking my life into the quarters was I saw my values as the child, as the teen, as the 20 something, as the 30 something, and I was really able to be like, wow, this was important to me. These were important to me. Like, it all just bubbled up to me. So it's always what happens with these. I won't miss this for the world, because whatever I'm going through, your meditation always just seems to hit home about where I need to go, or it's synergy that way, and I can really be like, yeah, this is who I am, or something. Because I keep on thinking, I don't know, I was listening to somebody who was saying, like, don't do things because you think it's the right thing to do. Do it because out of your being, it's the right thing for you.
Yeah.
And I've been juggling that a little, like, I don't want to say posturing, because everything I do is kind of sincere. And I was doing some things for other people more than myself. And it's not satisfying. Like it's not, well, not that it's not satisfying. Like, like I go to visit my dad every Sunday, and he's doesn't have any real visitors since COVID. They all got scared and stopped showing up. My brother got stopped showing up. Like, so I show up, but I do it for me and I do it for him. But I really do it for me, and therefore it's not heavy.
Yes. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean.
So I'm going to just start making sure that my actions are coming from who I'm being and letting them flow through me, like you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. I,
Right.
I'm very aware of my filters right now, and what I'm resisting going through.
Wow. That's awesome.
You,
I can
you,
tell you that having been in the hospital in the nursing home for many months at one point,
yeah,
there's an energy that is very different from people that are there because they feel like they need to be, and the people that are called to be there. It is palpable, the difference.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
kind of want to say, just stay home. Nobody is making you come. I mean, not that I didn't appreciate it, I really did, but I wanted to, my compassion wanted to say, don't do this to yourself. Just, you're not helping you, and really me either. So you're really, really onto something, Bishwa. I really think
yeah.
you're
Thank you.
really onto
Thank you.
something. I'm reminded too again of the phrase in A Course in Miracles that just struck me so hard many years ago when I read it, and it was sacrifice is a form of hatred. And I'm like, wait, that's just not what I'm supposed to, do. I'm supposed to be, you know, others are coming first. I can't be self-serving, all these things. And but I got it at a deep
Yeah,
level.
that was a like,
Oh, it
yeah,
really was. And I never forgot it, because if you're doing it from your being, as you're discussing,
yeah.
it is something, it's not a sacrifice.
It's
It
not a
is a
sacrifice.
gift. But if you're doing it because you think you ought to do it, um, and I'm not saying that we don't have things in our life that we have to do because we have to do them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, that's the third dimensional life. But when we have a choice coming from the heart, coming from the being, I believe that more and more and more people are learning to do that. And when they
Yeah,
do, this is the process of transformation that this earth is going through, of consciousness. And when we get there, we will, we'll still keep growing, but we will have mastered making the world work together in harmony,
yeah,
because I truly believe with all my soul, I believe that we have inherent in all of us everything that God wants, if you will, to manifest. But we're so busy trying to stop that train because we think it's our train, and it's like, no, I want to go there, let me stop the train. And the train is going like, well, maybe I should stop. They seem pretty sure, and then everybody else gets backed up. But if we just flow with the Tao, and if we and the way to do it is exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
Exactly what you're talking about.
It's like sometimes so subtle. That's the weird part about it. Like you can get in the habit of helping without, because it's the right thing to do rather than wanting to do it. That's so subtle.
It is. Yeah.
Or I hate to say it, like I had this thing with the dishwasher, my daughter. She wasn't doing the dishwasher. She's really good. Amazing. And she was not doing the dishwasher. And then I was passively aggressively letting all the dishes pile up because she wasn't doing her job. And then I thought, oh, she'll see it. She didn't see it. You know what I mean? She's 16. She didn't see it. And then I thought this month, July, I'm just going to do the dishwasher every time it needs to be done and just show her how easy it is.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail. Sometimes she comes in, she's like, oh, I hear you doing the dishes. Let me finish with you. But it only takes like 4 minutes. Why am I so hell bent on her job? And oof. So sometimes I failed. A lot of times I'm just succeeding. Now she does it with me often. She's because she's just not thinking about it. She's not, and I'm like, set an alarm if you want to. No. She's just, we'll get there. But it's kind of cool because I saw that I wanted to be right. I wanted to, and then when I came to, if it really is only 4 minutes, why am I making her do it? Why don't I just do it if that's what I want? Yeah, it just changed everything.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The energy.
Stupid dishwasher, right? There
Yeah,
you go.
stupid dishwasher.
Yeah.
Wow. So how else has been dealing with learning to come from being rather than doing? Doing, flowing from being rather than starting with the doing. What experiences have you had about that? When you mentioned earlier that these meditations seem to be timely for you, and I've
Right.
noticed the same thing. And of course, I come up with the subject usually 3 or 4 weeks ahead, and then I develop it as the time goes by. But as the month progresses, but I have noticed that when I do that, sure enough, and I'm, as you all know, I'm studying astrology, and sure enough, they'll start talking about the energies that are moving, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we're studying. And it's like and what that says to me is that I am learning to be more and more in the attunement. So I
Yeah.
can feel it before I know it, and I listen to the messages before I even know that I'm listening to the messages. And so I've seen that over and over and over. So I'm glad that's with you too. Um,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
you're
maybe I didn't even think about that. That maybe it's even more on the astrological plane of it. Like that's where the world is being. I love how you always expand out to that to say, the world's doing this, because you're right. I see it on Facebook. Like I started getting on Facebook, and I actively post now, and I actively post positively because I'm going to, after I start my company, use it as a form of media, and I need to have a background of, I don't want to say positive comments, but you know what I mean? Like I
right, right,
decided I save the bees. I decided I do this. I decided, and just who do I want to show up as socially on Facebook? And it's just weird because I never thought of life that way. I was used to just be like casual, have pants, took a picture of my food for dinner, say, hey, look what I ate for dinner,
right,
whatever,
right.
And now it's just with a little bit of purpose. It's just very different. And the people who are responding, or the people have changed, and the people who are now listening to me have changed as I've changed how I post. Amazing, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we
And,
attract.
and and I'm getting synergies with different people. Yeah, neat, very neat.
Would you share what your business is going to be? Is that something?
Yeah, it's funny. I have to really talk with Greer about it to make sure numerology wise it all fits right. But I
Right.
want to call it Just Be Balanced. And it's going to be about being, doing, having. It's going to be doing finding a setting, goal setting via that. I know I've talked to a lot of people where they talk about aim goals versus having goals. So a goal being a fixed set thing, but an aim meaning like, well, Dr. Matt James does empower the planet, right? It's a goal that you can continuously go to, but never actually succeed on, but you're always striving for it,
Ah,
and you're putting in a direction, right? So it's almost like how you set up in the monthly classes. You have a goal of doing the I was saying about
the
the
bargain.
yes, thank you. And but from that, it diverged into little pieces that are still going in that direction, like that,
Right, right.
that kind of thing. And yeah, so I wanted to do that. And I was going to talk about like I see that when you're talking about the filters, I see it as you are and you are not. And sometimes those are the shadow, I guess they call it. And if you say you're like vehemently one thing, then sometimes the exact opposite comes up to flare its head at you, to look at it, to make you look at it, and there's techniques to kind of resolve those issues. I don't know, I just think I'm going to get into life coaching and start that way,
Okay.
and use that as my foundation for helping people.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Have you
And
taken?
it's just starting to like congeal,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Have you taken the coaching classes yet? Have you taken any coaching training?
Well, I've done NLP, and I'm going to go to Master Pack next year, I think.
Okay.
And I'm learning a little bit in Huna, but I can't practice Huna until September. You have to be a level 2 to practice with other people.
Oh, I see.
It's something about if you can, like, I can release energy from people right now, but if it's hanging around and I haven't cleaned that up, it'll attach to me. And I don't know how to clear that out of myself yet. So I think level 2 is when you do that.
Ah, I see. I see. Awesome. That is exciting that you're going to be doing that. I didn't.
But I do it over Zoom. I totally will practice. You want to practice for free.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Hanukkah, the
Because
same
I
thing.
did
Like,
take a coaching class, and when I did, we would do these 15-minute vignettes where we would coach each other. It was extraordinary. And Aruna Dev
yeah,
took that class too. It's extraordinary what you can accomplish in 15 minutes. If and we none of us knew what we were doing. We were just following the steps, and we just had epiphanies and movement of our spirits, and it was incredible. It was
yeah.
incredible. So
Well,
yes, I'm always up for that if you want to practice.
I loved Hanukkah. You said something today earlier, and it was, I don't know, it was so soft spoken, but it just was so powerful to me. And it's funny, I kind of lost exactly what you said, but the feeling of it was like, I'm going to take that through the rest of my day.
Mm,
I think that's what I love about this too, is when everybody talks, you really can you filter on what you need to hear so much.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, boy, that's true. That's very true. You do filter on what you need to hear. And yeah, it's been happening to me again lately that I'm having all kinds of synchronicities when I hear something several places at once. And a lot of times it has to do with the subject of the meditation or whatever. But I've been going through that a lot. And and it is partly a filter. I know that. But it's, yeah, partly the spirit guides you to certain things too. Yeah, it's awesome.
The synchronicities being a filter, but
Say again?
synchronicities being a filter. Is that what you just
Yeah.
said?
Yes.
Can you expand upon that?
Well, if we look at something, let's see, we look at a room and we have just been, let's say we've just been decorating and we've been picking out colors. When we walk into somebody's house, we'll immediately start seeing the colors they used. We'll immediately see if they work for us or if they work together. Our mind is set like that. And so when you have a particular need spiritually, you walk into life and what there is, like, I forget how many. Do you remember, Aruna Dev, how many Munishwarji said there are, how many bits of information, billions of bits of information there are in the room when you walk into a room, but you pick out just maybe 100 and some of them because you have to filter them. So you set your filter unconsciously most of the time for what you are needing at that moment or what you're focusing upon in that moment. So you can't see everything, but you can see the filtered information that you need. Does that make sense, Kanika?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so I think sometimes you can't explain it like that. I was telling Kanika, I was listening to somebody do this wonderful quote, and I'm like, oh, I wish I'd written that down. And she was saying, I don't know who did it, but it was like something about the grand will appear, or you'll learn to fly, or something like that. And then I was looking through this book that I was going to give Kanika, and there was that same quote. It's from
Oh,
Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. In less than 24 hours. I never heard that quote before. I heard it twice. Now that's conscious, that's a filter, yes, but that's also spirit saying, you need to look at this. You need to pay attention. And what it was saying was that when you go to the edge of the light that you know, and you begin to put your foot in the darkness, either the ground will appear or you will learn to fly. And I love that. Isn't that wonderful?
yeah.
And I didn't say it exactly right, but I certainly said it better than I did the first time before I actually read it. And so, yeah, those things happen. They just happen. And yeah, so it's a combination of filter and the lead in it.
And I really do think, as in your story, the more you can just say, let it be. And yeah, this is what happens. It happens, I don't want to say faster, but
More,
easier with flow. It has flow. Yeah.
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 I love the Tao. I love the idea of the Tao, the idea of everything moving and changing and fitting into that flow rather than trying to create something that's structured and, has boundaries and whatever. I just love the Tao. It's just so me. So me. I love it. I'm just more comfortable in a flow, I think. And the more I learn to be in it, the better my life is. So,
Mm.
mhm. Hanukkah gifted me with a beautiful set of cards, which are upstairs. I knew I was forgetting something. I came downstairs and I'm like, what am I forgetting? And that was what it was. So I don't have cards to do the reading like I do at the end of most satsangs. I will use those cards next month. Again, everything is in divine order. Those cards were gorgeous. They really were. They were mandalas on and then they had like an energy of the elements like fire, water, earth, and air. And they would then have a number to go with it. And so it was just, yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And then they would have a little message as well. So it's great. It's great. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. I haven't really spent much time with my deck like that yet. I've looked through them and like felt the energies of them, and they're pretty extraordinary. But I haven't dove in other than that. So I knew it was going to be up your alley.
There's an artist who is associated with our lineage. Her name is Melissa Forbes, and she makes those mandalas. She paints those mandalas, and they are just extraordinary. We have a couple of them here. Prints, I think I have prints, not the originals, but
Yeah.
yeah. And she did a class once several years ago where she taught us to make the mandalas and paint them. We did the Ganesha mandala. That was amazing. So you just still yourself and be in the energy of it. And it's a pretty precise way to put the colors together, but still, it's very meditative.
That must have been an amazing class.
It was.
Yeah.
It really was. So, well, it's 11 o'clock and almost, and I want to just give everybody a chance to say anything else that they want to say. Okay. I love you all. This was so cozy and homey to have all the four of us together. It was really, really nice. I enjoyed it. And I hope that you have wonderful the rest of your weekend.
Me too.
And I love you. Sadhguru Maharaj Ki Jai.
Yeah. Love you all.